An early ask for funding from the Detroit Institute of Arts. Museum Director Salvador Seller Pons is here to explain why. We'll break down a new report card for our region and the real Jimmy Hoffa story that's wilder than any movie. Today is Sunday, December 8th, 2019, and this is Flashpoint. Hi, welcome to Flashpoint. Good to have you with us. We've got a really full morning coming up. We're going to take stock of the region as we come to the end of 2019. The new findings were released this week by the Detroit Regional Chamber. On the whole, we find a lot of things growing and improving in Michigan, but not as quickly as we might like, and not as quickly as the states with whom we compete. And the trade war continues to be a challenge as well in a state so reliant on exports. While as a nation we saw an uptick of nearly 8% in exports, Michigan saw a 3% drop. We're going to talk about that coming up this morning. Also, there has been a ton of talk about the Scorsese, De Niro, Pacino, Pesci film, The Irishman, a 3.5-hour opus on Jimmy Hoffa. Maybe it's missing the point to call out the movie's inaccuracies, but the truth is better than just about any fiction when it comes to Jimmy Hoffa. And our Steve Garagiola is going to be here to talk about his terrific new podcast a little bit later on. But we're going to start this morning with the DIA. We learned this week their millage request will be on the ballot this spring. Not everyone is happy about that. The director of the DIA, Salvador Seller Pons, is here to make his case. He's up first today on Flashpoint. This past week, the final hurdles were cleared to get the DIA millage renewal on the March 10th ballot. This millage request comes 2 years early, and that has rankled many. In fact, the Detroit News editorial called it a slap in the face, especially when paired with the timing of the election going on the Democratic primary ballot rather than the general that would be in November. Let's talk about it with the head of the Detroit Institute of Arts, Salvador Seller Pons. Always good to have you on Flashpoint. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Let's start with that criticism about the timing of this election, that it's kind of cynical to just cherry pick your voters and say we're going to do this in March when it's mostly going to be Democrats turning out to vote rather than in November, where you would have a much more general cross-section of voters.
We're just trying to plan ahead and follow the example of the Detroit Zoo that went 2 years in advance. And you know, we run the museum like a business. We want to make sure we have the resources to plan our programs for the future. So asking the voters early on if we can continue providing the service, it's responsible.
But it doesn't hurt to know that there are voters who might be more likely to go along with a millage increase, or not an extension, I shouldn't say an increase.
It's an extension, it's a renewal of the work that we've been doing. I think we want to put out there the work that we've done in the last 8 years and have the residents of Oakland, Wayne, and Macomb County decide whether they want to continue with this extraordinary agreement. It's been a win-win situation for the residents and for the DIA.
The other thing, though, that seemed to be in 2012 a promise that you wouldn't be coming back and asking for money early. Why are we all of a sudden needing money after a sense that we were taking care of the DIA for a long time, and now we find ourselves 2 years short?
Look, the leaders of the museum, when they asked the residents of Oakland, Wayne, and Macomb County in 2012 to support this millage, didn't know two things that are very important. First of all, that the city of Detroit was going to go through bankruptcy and that the DI was going to raise $100 million to support the pensioners of the city.
Yep.
They didn't know that the museum would own the collection, the building, and the grounds, and that is connected to the story of the bankruptcy. And the second thing was that this millage and the service agreement that goes with it was going to transform the organization. Today, we are a place completely different than we were in 2012. The culture of the DI has changed. In the past, generally speaking, we were an organization that was looking inwards. Today, we are looking outwards. We are serving the community. We have become a tool for the community. We are changing people's lives.
I think that's hard to argue against that. It does feel like the DIA is much more outward looking now and very engaged in the community around it. But the fact remains, in 2012, the operating budget for the DIA was about $25 million. For fiscal year 2020, it's going to be $38 million. So there's two ways to look at this. Yes, I suppose on one way you could say this is a revenue issue, that I need more money, but other people would say, no, you got a spending problem.
Well, look, it is true that in 2012, the operating budget of the DIA was $25 million. But in 2011, it was $33 million. So at the time, we dramatically reduced our operating budget to being able to keep the doors open of the museum. And that's why we went to the counties to ask for the support. So today is 38, so it's just a $5 million increase. And at the same time, we have provided this amazing service to the community. It provides free general admission, unlimited, to the Tri-County residents. We bring to the DIA over 62,000 students from the Tri-County every year, and we pay for the buses and provide curriculum-based programs. We bring a number of seniors to the museum when we pay for the buses as well. And then we have extraordinary community partnership that is taking the museum out into the counties.
It's become a very activated space in a lot of different people. You've always, I think, envisioned it as being a gathering place. And I think that's more true than ever. And as I've told you before, I think the story of the Grand Bargain is that Detroit is a city that was saved by its art. But you can also, I suppose, still be accused of going to the well too often and maybe taking that support for granted. What happens if this doesn't pass?
Well, we will have to plan differently if it doesn't happen. We want to continue being a leader in education, and the residents of Oakland, Winner, Macomb County have made the DIA a leader in education. The Tri-County residents have made the DIA a place that is a part of the comeback of Southeast Michigan. The Tri-County residents have made the DIA a place that provides experiences that people don't find in books, in TV, or the internet. We have a great array of programs. We have diversified our exhibitions. And for example, now we do shows like the one that is coming up next summer on car design. And at the same time, we do exhibitions about Van Gogh. And those two exhibitions will be on view at the DI in the summer of 2020.
I think you've always sort of bristled at the idea of being a dusty old place of just the old masters. You've done everything from the art of baseball and baseball cards to the art of hip hop. Talk a little bit about what that kind of exploration of extending art beyond its usual boundaries, what that's meant for you.
You know, we are focusing on creativity, and creativity can be translated in many different things. It can be baseball cards, it can be hip hop, it can be Star Wars of the Power Custom.
Right, yes.
But it also can be Van Gogh, it can be Monet. So it is a way of saying, you know, creativity is the central part of the many things that we do in the museum, and our visitors can connect with that creativity in different art forms.
I mentioned the editorial in the Detroit News. It was one of several that we saw that were very critical of what you're trying to do. I'm curious as to what you're hearing mostly from the people who have always been there to support you before, because I know that as you've been trying to raise this endowment to $400 million or so, which would kind of make you much more fully independent, some of those folks who were asked to really pony up back during the Grand Bargain are the ones that now are saying, look, I've given all I can. So where do you feel like the level of support is now from the people you've relied on for so long?
So, you know, we have a lot of support out there in the community, and this is because of the work that we have done beyond the walls of the museum. The Arts Authority, the Board of Commissioners of the Tri-County are there supporting us. You know, when we raised so much money during the Grand Bargain, those $100 million went to the city of Detroit. We didn't keep those funds. So we just need to continue serving the community and raising the funds to make our endowment as strong as possible, but at the same time, guarantee that we can provide these amazing services to the community. We are a museum that is a role model for museums all over the country. We have professionals from museums around the United States come to the DI to see how we do this work.
Do you feel comfortable in saying, look, this is the last time we're going to have to ask you for this because you believe that you'll have the endowment by the time it rolls around again? Or is it foolish to make such promises?
Look, I don't have the crystal ball. I don't know what's going to happen in 10 years or 12 years. Let the people leading the museum at that time and the residents of Oakland, Winner, Macomb County decide for that.
That we'll be deciding that March 10th, at least on this newest request. Salvador, thanks very much for being here this morning. I appreciate it. We come back, we'll talk about the state of the region. Sandy Baru is here with a new report card out. This is Flashpoint on Local 4.